Hey fam, it's your man Dante the Dark Knight. Welcome. We are without our sound today because my co-host isn't here and he has the soundboard. So we have to jump right into it. I can't. I know the words to the opening track, but I'm not going to attempt to sing it myself. What I am going to attempt to do is jump right into Eagles talk, man. A lot is going on. Training camp. None of my co-hosts are here, so I brought in special guest Kevin. You guys know Kevin from he was a guest shot taker before. Very, very knowledgeable fan. In case you have not checked your group pages or our group page, I have an open invitation to anybody who wants to come on tonight. We're taking live callers. In absence of my co-host, I'm opening up the floor to allow you guys to come on and share the airwaves with myself and Kevin tonight as we talk about our Philadelphia Eagles and what an exciting time it is. It's just as exciting as it was last week with the opening of training camp. We're in week number 2, and there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of news out there. The first being that the Deshaun Watson news is back. It's reared its ugly head again. They're talking about is the trade talks are hot. Somebody said the trade talks are hot, and then somebody said that they're not hot. So we'll delve into that. But first, even without the drops and all that, we still have to follow protocol by starting this first period. So I'm going to start the first period. It is now the first quarter. You are watching Eagles Talk, the number one Eagles coverage show on Facebook that is by Eagles fans, for Eagles fans. We like to talk about our favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and we do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. And we take a shot every quarter. This show is divided into 4 quarters, just like a real game. So for the first quarter, and for all the quarters, actually, I'm going to be partaking in the Revolution tequila. I love tequila as a shot drink. It's a good shot drink and it's a good party shot drink. I tell you that I had a lot of good times doing shots of tequila, and I'm going to continue the good times tonight. So, Kev, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself? Looking forward to talking some Eagles football this year and get excited about the season right around the corner.
Yes, yes. All right. Are you going to be joining me in shot?
I'm going to be doing some shots. I mean, I got to sponsor my people from Devil's Backbone out of Virginia. This is Orange Smash. It's about 10%. So I'll be doing several shots of this with you through the evening.
Okay, all right. And I like that. I like that orange smash. Kev's that guy. All right, so here we are. To our Philadelphia Eagles, I see you guys in the chat room. I'm going to put the link up there, too, so in case any of you guys haven't seen it in the group, I'll put the link up there. If you want to join Kevin and myself on the air tonight, you have an opportunity tonight because none of my co-hosts showed up. So you guys can be an on-air guest if you choose to be. So here we are, first quarter starting. Down the hatch for our Philadelphia Eagles. 3, 2, 1. We used to have a lot of cheering and all that stuff, but I don't have my soundboard. All right, so let's jump right into it, Kev. We're in training camp. Let's go over some of the prominent injuries. Number one, our first-round draft pick, Devonta Smith, is out. He's week to week. There's no big concern there. They're not really they're not really they don't think it's serious. They're just taking all the precautions because they don't want him to duplicate the season that Jalen Reagor had last year when he was the injury bug bit him. He missed a lot of training camp, and then he missed some time during the regular season. So they're trying to take the precaution of taking it easy with him. He's week to week. He probably won't play in the first preseason game, but I see him getting back into camp in time enough to pick up the installations that they're putting in place right now. And from what I hear from training camp, this guy is ahead in some aspects of the game. They said he's a real sharp route runner, great hands, and he's got a lot of the fundamentals that Sirianni said he looks for or teaches in his wide receiver. He says this guy has already got quite a few of those down. So they're not really worried about him, but he's one that's hurt. Who else is hurt?
I think we got Brandon Brooks had a little tight hamstring.
Right,
He's
right.
been out of it. But to get to your point, Dante, on Devonta Smith, I mean, I just need to see him on September 11th in Atlanta. I can care less if he plays any preseason games. I think we've seen enough of him last year in college, what he can do. And, hey, we see him at practice every day. He's out there every morning with the jugs machine. He's still catching passes, and he's putting in the work. So he's the least of our worries, I think, going into week 1 as long as he's there, and we don't need to get him hurt in a meaningless preseason game.
All right, so that's been Brandon Brooks is week. Oh well, he's Brandon Brooks now day to day now with that hamstring, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's day to day now.
Yep.
Sweat is Sweat was Sweat on the injury report?
I didn't see anything with Sweat. I mean, I know he's had a really good training camp. The only one I saw on the D line, I know Kerrigan's nursing something with a thumb, but really haven't seen any other major injuries that would be cause for concern.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. That the practices are kind of short as compared to in previous years, and I read an article on that today, and Sirianni basically just explained that they get a lot of done in that short period of time. They go hard, they get a lot accomplished, and part of shortening the practice is to kind of keep these guys off the injury list because as you've
Correct.
known in the past few years, we've been one of the most injured teams. Last year, I think we were only second behind San Fran. So this is a approach that these guys are taking to kind of preserve our guys before the season starts off. We can ill afford, and especially I know this is supposed to be a retooling year and all that, but if we are going to make any type of noise, our guys have got to be healthy. We saw what happened with injuries last year, especially
Well,
along the offensive line. It just killed our whole season. So
I mean,
I'm happy that these guys are taking a active approach and trying to preserve these guys. But I do fear that they don't get in enough hitting. I mean, I think that
yeah,
lack of hitting sometimes can make you soft. So that's my only fear there.
especially with I think that they had the first 3 days of practice. They didn't even bring out the pads. I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, you got your buddy Ryan and you got Andy Reid. Pads were on the first day after you passed that conditioning test. That I guess Rager had a hard time passing that, but hey, it's a different NFL right now. I mean, with that new union and all that, it's nothing that we grew up with that we're used to, but we still support the team and hopefully it's going to work. And these injuries have been a huge problem. I mean, even in the Super Bowl year, we had major injuries. So hopefully they figure out something this year because we don't have enough depth to survive any injuries.
I don't think so either. Let me just go to a couple of guys in the chat room. Our third co-host. Thank you guys for joining us. Quavo is first, and he knew he was first. He put it up there, first 100. Thanks, Quavo, for being in there.
Nice.
Raymond is second, and he says he's second. Fred, I reached out to you, Fred. You don't check your messenger. You got to check your messenger, Fred. Matter of fact, Fred, stop right now and go check your messenger and see if I did not send you a message. All right, do that right now for me, Fred. All right, Raymond is in there. Brian Rogers is on there. He says, "What's up with all this Deshaun Watson trade talk? Please fill me in." Yeah, we're going to get to that right after these comments. Tony Barron is in the house. He says, "Hey, Bird Gang, season is almost here." Yes, it is almost here, and I could not
Yes.
wait. I cannot wait for it to start. Miles Smith is in the house. He says, "Fly, Eagles, fly." I like Nick is getting in the face of players and coaching them up. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that also. Jeremiah is also here. He says, "What's the thoughts on Jalen Rager?" We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that too. So, without further ado, thank you guys for joining us. Let's begin some of that talk. And the Deshaun Watson talk has reared its ugly head again, or if it's not ugly, if you want Deshaun Watson. But there was a report today. Someone said that the talks between the Eagles and Houston are heating up. And then there was a report that came out shortly afterward that said that that was a bunch of malarkey. I don't know who to believe here because the trade talks that would seem to go in line with some of the other. If you connect the dots here, like they freed up some salary cap room, $14 million worth of salary cap they freed up by restructuring Lane Johnson and
Derek
and
Barnett.
Barnett's deal. So they freed up some space there, and there was something else that happened. And those two things alone leads to me to believe or would believe that the talks may be heating up. If they freed up, what other reason would they be freeing up $14 million worth of salary cap? And we basically have our team in check right now. It could only be to be making room for someone else. That's what I'm thinking anyway. What do you think that?
I mean, I think that's, I mean, possibly the case. And I mean, hopefully they got some people investigating what's going on there in Houston. And before you can make a trade of that magnitude, you better have all your ducks in a row and really find out what's really going on there and take the player out of the equation because we all know he's a top 4, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But with all these allegations, you can't give up what it's going to cost, that draft capital. You better have everything in line and better have done a very good job if you're going to give that up.
Yeah, I agree with that. They have, and I can't assume anything because our front office has been dragged through the mud this off season. So I want to say I assume that they would do their due diligence in pursuing a deal like this. But I I've seen crazier things happen. I would just hope that Howie would do his due diligence in investigating all the
Yep.
allegations and all of what could possibly come down as far as him possibly being uh, you know, prosecuted. I mean, that's the
And
worst
it's
case scenario, but that's
and
still out there.
and Dante, it's a two-way street right there. You got to check with the lawyers on his team, the lawyers with the people that are bringing these allegations, and then once you get through that, you got to go check with the league office
Right,
because
exactly.
we've all seen in the past guys get acquitted and they're innocent, but they're not innocent in Roger Goodell's world. They're in Park Ave there in New York City. So a lot of factors come in place with making a trade of that magnitude. But how we should be doing is due diligence because we all have seen what type of player Deshaun Watson is at Clemson, and then he's led it in into the Texans.
Oh yeah, he's been a winner on the college level, and he's been an excellent player on the pro level. This guy is definitely that dude. I mean, you guys have heard my take on it. I would take the guy. I mean, save the fact that he doesn't go to
Yep.
jail or anything like that. Save that. This guy's talent on the football field is undeniable, and I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's done all the right things in the offseason as far as what he has said, how he's presented himself, and he's not even been donned the face of the franchise, but he is
Nope.
walking in that title. Just he's walking in that title excellently. I mean, he presents
He's
himself
got
great. He's a great work ethic. He comes to work every day. He's a humble guy. He takes the coaching from Nick Sirianni and everything. He trusts all that. I would love to see the guy get his chance, but I have to
he's
admit,
taking.
if I can have
Hey,
Deshaun Watson, I'm going for him.
hey, I'm totally in agreement with you. And hey, to get back with Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's taken every first team rep so far in training camp. So they're trying to do their due diligence to see what he is all about. But if there is an opportunity and everything is it works its way out, you definitely have to see what this Deshaun Watson situation is.
All right, some other things. Since we're talking about Jalen Hurts practices have been mostly good. Mostly good. The reports that I'm hearing out of there, he's doing. He has good days, and then he has some not so good days. But for the most part, I think he's having a good camp. He's again, he says all the right things. He
Yep.
works harder. A great example for the rest of the team. Um, and he just has to work on little things like footwork and his accuracy. That's where
Correct.
I need his accuracy to be. In today's game, it's not enough to be 50%, or you
Nah,
have to be like 60 to 70% now to
I
be
mean,
considered an average or above average quarterback.
look at all quarterbacks last year. I mean, that were in the playoffs. You're looking at 70%, 72%. I mean, when we won the Super Bowl, our quarterback was barely at 60%. So we need to get up in that 65, 70% range just to compete, especially with the league. It's such a passing league right now, and you got to be able to convert third downs.
Right, exactly. So with there being way more passing than there was in the past, 50% is not going to get it.
Nope.
If you have to complete more than 50 half of the passing plays because the passing plays are outweighing the running plays. So you have to be more than 50%. We can't go 50% on our passing plays. That means for half our passing plays we're getting nothing. No, we got to do better than that. So,
Especially
go ahead.
especially if I don't know what type of offense Sirianni's going to run, but if it's anything like he did with the Colts, it's a lot of drags and a lot of stuff to the backfield. I mean, to running back. So it's high quality, high percentage throws. I know what we're hearing in training camp. It's been a lot of bombs because of the speed with Devonta Smith and Rager and Quez Watkins and Hightower. So it's going to be interesting to see how he blends that in because he didn't have the speed the Colts other than T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah. So another thing I read about the training camp is Sirianni and the offensive coordinator are just wowed by as much speed as this team has. They are talking amongst themselves, and the report said that they are like, yo, we have more speed here than they had in Indianapolis, and that's saying a lot. But
Yep,
speed means nothing if you don't hold on to the ball. So we
correct.
have to see these guys produce. There was a play today. I don't know if you saw the video. I didn't have enough time to get it up here on here, but there was a play today by Rager. Oh my
Oh,
goodness. It was
hey, I saw it. It was all over the radio. They were talking about it, and I had to somehow get it off of Instagram. And I sent it to our buddy Jason already, and my other friend. I said, "Oh, I guess he does exist." Didn't know that he
yeah.
was even. I mean, he could have passed the conditioning program. I mean, that's his only job, pass the conditioning test. But he had a great catch, and I give Slay credit. He's like, dude, the dude beat me. I mean, I had great coverage, and he made the catch.
Oh yeah, when you see it, great coverage is an understatement. He was all over this guy. I still don't understand how he caught that ball. Wow, that was incredible. In a normal situation, that was incredible. But he needs to put together a lot of those type of plays if he's going
Correct.
to, work his way out of. I mean, his first year was unspectacular to say the least. It was
Oh
not, and this is like a
no.
year for him to kind of reestablish himself. And he's already gotten off to a slow start, so he needs a lot of those type of plays to kind of get back into the good graces because we're depending on him a lot this year.
Oh,
and, and,
he's
and, and we'll talk about it a little later in the fourth quarter. But he's one
well,
of the guys I have up there that's going to be a very important piece to this team being successful, having a bounce back second year in this league.
totally agree. I mean, he's with Devonta Smith on the other side. He should be seeing single coverage on the other team's second DB. So he's going to utilize that speed and take advantage of what he could do.
So since Devontae is out, he has a chance now to step into some of those, get some of those targets because I've heard that Jalen Hurts' favorite target has been Devontae until he got injured. So this will be a good chance for Rager and the other receivers to kind of uh, get the eyes of the starting quarterback and make a name for themselves. I'm hearing that John Hightower is trying to take advantage of that. Quez Watkins is doing a great job in camp thus far. Um, so I hope that these guys can
And I
step
heard,
up. Go
I'm
ahead.
hearing, I mean, Fulgham, they're finally getting him back into action, being that big wide receiver. And man, I think Whiteside's going to be the odd man out because I don't think there's enough roster spots for him.
Now I would hope. I mean, I'm not praying. I'm not rooting for anybody not to make the team. But I would hope that if he is not playing up to par, that he is the odd man out. And
Yeah.
I'm not wishing it for it. I'm not wishing it on him. But that would show me that these guys, that Sirianni is not going to allow the draft politics to get in the way of fielding the best team that he can possibly field. Because we have seen draft politics in the past
Yep.
to rear their ugly head in this game, and
Yes.
and I think it's no place for that. If the best
Nope.
people should be on the team, the best people should be on the field. I don't care if he's the number one. And that brings me to, well, this quarter's about to be over, so I'll bring this up in the second quarter. All right.
That's good.
All right, so that's the end of the first quarter, man. We've been talking about the Eagles training camp thus far. I'll open up the second quarter, first of all, with the shot, but I'll open up with you guys' comments out there and see what you guys have to say. But we're going to talk a little bit more about training camp and the training camp battles and those draft politics that I'm talking about here. So you're watching Eagles Talk, the number one Eagles coverage show on Facebook by Eagles fans for Eagles fans. I am joined today by my special guest, Kevin. Kevin is in the house. Thank you so much. On short notice, he accepted the call. He is a friend to the show. He is a great friend to the show, and we thank him for sitting in today. So,
Anytime,
all right.
Dante.
Yeah. So here we are. Kev, talk a little bit about the beverage you're drinking.
I mean, it's just you guys all. It's just an orange crush in a can out of Devil's Backbone in Virginia. It's 10%, and here we go, bud.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue now. That's some good stuff right there. I have to vouch for that. That's some good stuff. I know you're promoting that, so I'll stay away from the dewy stuff right now. But That's some more good stuff. All right, so we're going to do Orange Crush, Orange Smash. All right, so here we are. It's an Orange Crush in a can, and it's 10%. It will get you where you need to go. I'm going to be continuing to do the Revolution Tequila Blanc. I got my co-host in the room. So everybody, let's turn up for our Philadelphia Eagles. 3, 2, 1, down the hatch.
Well, Dante, tequila is going to get you where you need to go too.
Yeah, to bed. It's going to get me to go to bed right after this. All right, so here we are. Let me start off with some comments from the room. My co-host is in there. He says, yo, he is watching through the YouTube. Oh, that's what's up. He's on the YouTube watching us. So you can watch us on 3 platforms. You can watch us on Facebook, you can watch us on YouTube, and you can watch us on Periscope. I don't know how many people still involved with Periscope, but we're still there. All right. So JR says, Orange Crush alcohol, take my money. Yes, it is. It's like an Orange Crush in a can. You want to get this, and it is 10%. Now, you know what beers are. Beers are usually 5, 6. Some craft beers might get up to 10, or they might get up there high, but this is 10%. So this will get you where you got to go. All right. So Tony says, or they send him to the coach just to mess with Carson some more. All right. Oh, speaking of which, Carson Wentz is messing us up too, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
His injury, he is hurt, and he is, well, if he comes back within 5 weeks, I think we might still have a chance. But I'm not even counting on that first-round pick anymore because that's all I
Dante,
need to see with this guy.
Might have had some good news today, man. I work with a Colts fan, and he's hearing from people out there that they're thinking third week. So we got to cross our figures, third week. That's why they're not making – that's why they're pumping up that kid, Eason. That he could get him through the first 2 games, and possibly Wentz would be back the third game. So that's why they're not looking for a veteran. Now, we still got 3 training camp games here, so they might see Eason. He might not be subpar, and they might want to win those first 2 games. So we'll see how it plays out here.
Oh, they definitely want to win those first 2 games. I saw in the group that someone asked. Oh, as a matter of fact, it was JT. JT, where is JT? JT's not in the house. I'm going to have to get on him. Oh, you're in trouble, JT. All right, he's not in the room. But JT put a post up there, and he said, you think that Indy did that just to keep their number 1 pick? And I said emphatically, no, I don't think that they would jeopardize their whole season just to keep that number 1 pick. They are, if Carson Wentz plays up to his potential, they are contenders. They are contenders. Yeah. For the Super Bowl 100%. If he plays up to his potential. So I don't think that they would sacrifice their whole season just to hold on to that first-round pick. Dude, they would much rather him be healthy and be performing at a high level than to try to save that first-round pick.
That team's got a great offensive line, a running game, and their defense is probably the best Wentz probably would ever have played with the talent they have on defense. So I don't think they're giving – they could win that division and give Buffalo and Kansas City a run for their money. But it all comes down to how he plays and how he holds on to the ball. But no NFL team is going to worry about first-round pick to go 5-11 and hold on to that first-round pick.
Right. Nobody's doing that. So, no, I don't think that's the case. All right. So we were talking about, we were going to just get into the training camp battles. That's what we were going to talk about, right?
Yeah. How about we started left tackle?
Yes, great place to start because I think this is a joke, and this is what this plays right into the draft politics. Yes. If this guy was Andre, I'm talking about Andre Dillard. All right, let me just preface it by saying we're talking about the left tackle training camp battle between Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard. Okay, this wouldn't even be a competition if Andre Dillard was not a first-round pick and Howie Roseman wasn't our GM. This wouldn't even be a consideration. Jordan Mailata, from all accounts and from what he did last year, is head and shoulders above this guy. He should be the left starting tackle on the Philadelphia Eagles, and if all is fair, he will be the starting left tackle. I don't even know why we're having this competition. And the only thing I can think of is the draft politics. Just because Andre Dillard was a first-round pick, they're giving him every opportunity so they don't look like they made a bad choice. But, hey, throw that out the window.
But Dante, but how he wins in the situation either way, because he took a chance on a guy, a rugby player from 3 years ago. So he wins in the situation anyway. Hey, yes, first round pick can't play, but yes, but I got a seventh round pick that never played a game of football, and now I made him into a a solid, which I think a solid left tackle in the NFL. And I think if he plays all year this year, he'll be consistent and give Jalen Hurts enough time in the pocket. I think he proved that last year.
I think he proved that too. And just like Tony Burrow just said, he's killing it. He's a monster. He gives me a little bit of that John Runyon. I mean, he's
Yes.
a little nasty out there, and he's a big guy, man. And he's pancaking guys out there, man. He
Dude,
is. Look,
even today, and I don't know if you've seen the video. I guess they were. This team's got a whole totally different vibe than they did last year. They're having fun, and Greg Ward's at the talking to reporters, and Boston Scott sitting there trying to be his bouncer, and Mulata just comes right on up and picks up. And Boston Scott's a pretty thick guy, and he just
solid
comes right
dude.
up.
Yeah.
And he picks him up with one arm, puts him on his shoulder, and he just walks away with them. So you can see the different vibe that's going on with this team right now. It seems like a lot of they're just having fun again.
Yes, they're having fun again. And this guy, and I know it's good for training camp. I know competition is good in training camp, but this competition is over. This
Yep.
competition is over for everybody out there. All my versus fans, the competition between Mailata and Dillard was like the Locks against Dipset. It's no contest. No contest, okay?
No.
Okay. Mailata is Jada Kiss, okay? He just murked this. It's over. It's over. Okay. All right. I just wanted to throw my cultural analogy in there. All right. So that's one battle that shouldn't even be a battle anymore. We should know
Nope.
that unless Mailata gets hurt in training camp, he is our starting left tackle. Dude, maybe the best thing you can do, Dillard, is to continue to compete hard. Maybe we can move him for something. I don't know. We can still use. I mean, I don't know. He don't look that good, but we can
No,
still
man.
use. He don't look good. He might have to go.
No.
Yeah,
He,
he doesn't look good.
I don't know, man. I'm hearing he just doesn't have it, man. He gets pushed and he just wants to quit. And you can't do that in the NFL in offensive tackle because you're going to lose battles. And guy's going to know right away, I'm going to get under his skin, and we'll see how it goes. But again, as you brought up, draft politics, we'll see what happens there at the end of August, early September when they got to get down to fifth grade.
All right, so I guess we can't trash him too bad because we might need to flip him for like a late round pick or something, get something for him because at this point, to me he's a bust. If he can't
And
play left tackle,
we could always use a linebacker.
right, and getting to some more training camp battles. I say that the wide receivers have an opportunity here to some of those that may be on the bubble have an opportunity here to really make a name for themselves. I talked about it a little earlier, but they really do have an opportunity here
Yep.
since Devonta Smith is out to get some more reps. That's number one, and to make a good showing here because nothing happens in this offense if we don't have, and then nothing happens in anyone's offense if you don't have quality wide receivers. Now, what I do like about Nick Sirianni is I heard, he's he played wide receiver in college, even though it was a Division III or whatever, but he played wide receiver and he was a wide receivers coach. So he has really
Yep.
been hands-on and critical of the wide receivers, which I like to hear. He's been getting in the face of people like Jalen Rager, and he's been really getting in their face. And he's a guy that's a stickler for the fundamentals and the little things. And I like that. We need that because our wide receivers outside our quarterback, they are the next most important position to me. They are the next because your quarterback can't be anything if you don't have
Nope.
receivers that's going to be able to catch the ball. So these guys will have to step up. Rager, again, slow start, had a great catch today, but he has to put a
Yep.
lot more of those performances together. Quez Watkins, I'm hearing good things about him. I think he's going to play a big
Yep.
part in this offense this year, maybe in the slot. Hightower, I was high on Hightower last year.
Yeah, he
He
just
had a
had some
great training
bad
camp, and
drops.
then he had some bad drops in the regular season. I hope he can bounce back.
What do you think of
JJ,
Edward?
Greg Ward. I like Greg Ward. I like Greg Ward.
Hey,
I think he's is a great slot guy for us right now. You know, he catches the
yeah,
ball.
I think the moment we release Greg Ward, he'll be right up there in New England and
Hmm
going right with
hmm
Bell. I mean, he doesn't do anything fancy, but he gets open, catches passes, and moves the chains more than likely. So there's always a spot on my team for that. But how many receivers do you think we keep? We going 5 or 6?
Woo! Now that's a question there. We're at least going five. All right, so
Yeah.
let's just hypothetically say it's five. All right, that's the end of the second quarter. But I'll finish my thought before we start the third. Let's just hypothetically say it's five. Let's see. Devonta Smith, Rager,
Fulgham,
Ward, Fulgham,
Watkins.
Watkins.
So
Now
probably
what?
it probably comes down to Hightower and Whiteside for that 6th spot.
Yeah, Hightower and Whiteside.
Because
And
we got
me,
to
I would
keep,
take Hightower because he has more speed. I know,
yeah.
I know. JJ is supposed to be that physical, but he hasn't done that for me. He has not done that for me.
And I think Fulgham can do that. And Fulgham, I think he came out the other day and said he lost his role last year because Alshon Jeffrey came back. And you could see the dynamics that we were playing with last year on front office controlling when I think Fulgham led the NFL in the 4 weeks that he was starting in receiving yards and receptions. So definitely want to see more of him. And he's young. I think he's only 25 years old.
Yeah, I like Fulgham too, and Fulgham was tearing the league up until he just went until he maintained radio silence after that. I mean,
Yep.
for 4 games he was like tearing the league up, and then I don't know, he went ghost on us. But all right,
Yep.
that's the end of the second quarter. We're going to start this third quarter. I don't have my soundboard here, but this is Eagles Talk, beginning of the third quarter, and we are the number one Eagles coverage show on Facebook by Eagles fans for Eagles fans. Thank you so much for Kevin for joining us tonight and saving me because my co-host couldn't join me tonight. Matter of fact, one of them is in the chat room right now. He says we're going to keep 6 wide receivers. All right, well, that's good for Hightower.
Hey, this,
All right,
yeah, I
so
know.
anyway, we like to talk about our favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and we do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. I am doing the Revolution Tequila, and Kev, talk a little bit more about the Orange Crush in a can that you are drinking. It's really good. I had that.
I mean, Orange Smash from Devil's Backbone out of Virginia. 10% alcohol made with real vodka.
All right, so somebody asked, how do you get it in the DMV area? He lives in the DMV area, and I'm taking his D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Do they carry it
Any
down there?
liquor store should have it.
Any
Yep.
liquor store should have it. All right,
Or
so there you go, Quavo. Get it down there. And Quavo, you are so close that when we have our live remotes, and we're going to try to get out to Virginia, Manassas. Are you near Manassas? Manassas has a nice Eagles bar down there. We're going to try to do a
whoa,
remote from down there. I love to go to Eagles bars that's out of the area, and I've been to one in I hate to hear, but one in Charlotte that was really nice to us. We had a great time down in Charlotte. They're no longer Eagles an Eagles bar anyway, but we're going to try to get down to Manassas. But but you guys look for us. I'll be posting it. He moved from Charlotte. Oh, so you know about steamers, Quavo? Quavo, you know about steamers? All right. Anyway, let me do the shot. All right, here we go. So I'm doing the tequila. He's doing the orange smash. Everybody, let me know what you're doing out there. Down the hatch for our Philadelphia Eagles. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to start the third quarter here and continue our talk about the training camp. Now, in this quarter here, what I'd like to talk about is the the Sirianni culture that he is instilling in this team here with his first training camp that's taking place right now. What do you guys out there, and you too, Kev, I'm asking you, what do you guys think about this new coach and what he's doing so far as what you're hearing about his culture, the culture that he's instilling in this training camp?
man, to go back to what we talked about in the second quarter. I mean, I think you're underselling our coach there, man. He played for Division III Mount Union, and if you know anything with D3 ball, I mean that's like the Alabama of D3. So um, what I'm hearing about him, and it's like two different things. So one, I love the fact that he's getting into players' faces. I love the fact that the rest of his coaching staff, from Steichen, who people forget about Steichen, the offensive coordinator. He did coach Justin Herbert last year in Los Angeles, but it looks like all of these coaches are proactive. They're in these players' faces. They're making them, like you said earlier about Rager, he was on Rager left and right the other day, and anybody that was reporting was like they hadn't seen a head coach do that in a while since Andy Reid was here when he made I think that guy do the sled when he was not blocking people. But only thing I get a little worried about is this more like Harry High School? I mean, we're doing professional athletes right here, and everything's great now for the first 7 days of camp or 6 days or whatever we're in. How's this going to happen? We were down this road with Chip Kelly before. How are these guys going to react in September, October, November, and December? I know he's coached in the NFL for a while under San Diego, and then with the Colts, he was with the Chiefs a little bit too. So that's just a catch-22. I mean, I like that they're coaching really, really hard. I'm liking what I'm hearing from this new defensive coordinator, Gannon. They do strip drills. And when was the last time we ever seen an Eagles defense get strip a running back, strip a wide receiver, a tight end? I mean, we watch the Ravens, we watch other teams that do this on a week in and week out basis. For us, it's like one time a year we might get a strip, or Fletcher Cox doing something. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I'm hoping that it doesn't wear on some of the veterans that are used to a different type of culture that they've been used to, that they've exceeded with, that they've excelled with and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I understand that. My question too, I do have those same questions. My question is just that you don't become good at tackling, and we've seen this in previous Eagles teams. I mean, recently previous Eagles teams, where if you don't tackle, don't come into the league tackling. I mean, like if you don't practice tackling, that's what I mean. If you don't practice hitting and tackling, it's not like a light switch you can just turn on and it happens. It has to happen by repetition and in practice. So I'm afraid that although you say that the practices are quick, you get a lot done in that hour and a half, because their longest practice has been an hour and 45 minutes. That's a big difference from the 3-hour practices that we've used to seeing from like Andy Reid and such. I mean, 3 hours of hitting too, not 3 hours.
And today was only an hour and 15 minutes.
An hour 15 minutes. So I hear you saying that they're very efficient. I hear the reports and I read the articles that they're very efficient. These guys are moving. They know what they're doing. There's not any downtime in that hour and 15 minutes or whatever. But I'm afraid that football is still football, and you got to put the pads on. You got to hit, and that's how you learn how to play. That's how you get used to playing. That's how you hone your skills, is hitting people and getting used to being hit. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because it's his first rodeo here, but I am concerned about the lack of hitting. I need to see more of that. I know you're trying to preserve everyone and everything, but the football survived. Football survived in the years that we grew up. The way they were doing it survived. It did survive.
I mean, we grew up in I grew up in '79, but in the Vermeil days, these guys would training camp would actually be training. He would go out in 3 a days and get them into shape, getting ready for the season, and then they had 6 preseason games. So we'll see what happens. I think Sunday's going to give the rest of the fan base a good perspective of how he's coaching, because that's going to be the first open practice to the public on Sunday at the Link. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm sure we'll get a ton of reports back from fans and the rest of the media on what it looks like. So, because now it's just sponsors or anything like that are invited to NovaCare to watch practice and see what they're doing. So Sunday would be a good barometer of where the team's at, and lucky for us, a week from now, we're going to see some games.
Yeah, thank God. We're going to see something. Again, the way I said that the NFL is going in the past, I said that because there's some teams, like Andy Reid is probably still doing 3 days. He's probably pushing it to the limit. I know that the CFA from the union has called for the teams to have to pull back on some of the physical activities that go on in practice. But I know a coach, an old school coach like Andy Reid, is pushing it to the limit. He's pushing it to the limit. But we have a younger coach that has a new philosophy and all that. And I'm hoping that once preseason starts and some of the practices are closed, that he goes to a more physical type of
Well,
practice
don't we have Belichick coming in here for? Aren't we doing some live practicing with New England for that
with
second
New
preseason
England.
game?
I
And
think someone else too.
I think we're doing something with the Jets at the end.
Right, with the Jets at the end.
So,
Uh,
I mean,
Go ahead.
hearing Belichick today, I mean, they were practicing out in the rain, and he's like, "We practice in the rain, we practice in the heat. This is what we're going to do." So, I don't think Sirianni is going to have an opportunity to tell the goat Belichick how they're going to run practice.
Yeah, all right. There's my co-host Shell says I totally disagree with these new rules of not live hitting. Teams such as KC, the Pats, and Pittsburgh get fined every
Yep.
year because they exceed the contact limits and length of practice. You're able to see the difference on the field. Yeah, and we need some of that too. So I hope that Sirianni knows that although he's trying to preserve our troops, they need that. And I kind of get the feeling that he might know that because of the way that he is that he's holding people accountable, jumping in their
Yep.
face, and he does, even in an hour and a half, he does run a very full practice. They're working hard there. So hopefully
Well,
we'll see a ramp up when the preseason games start and they're closed to the media, that he starts ramping it up a little bit more. We need to see that.
the good thing, I mean, the defensive coordinator, Gannon, I mean, he came under the Mike Zimmer school. So, if you know Mike Zimmer, I mean, he's out there hitting, and Mike Zimmer came up through Bill Parcells. So hopefully we get some spirited practices here in the next week, and we'll see next Thursday against the Steelers.
And we'll talk. We're going to talk a little bit about that because
Yep.
I like the new defense coordinator. I like what he's doing so far. I like what he's saying so far, and I like what I'm hearing out of training camp. The defense, every day they say that the competition is such where they designate a winner, the offense or the defense, after every practice, and the defense has been dominating and winning most of the practices, which is good.
Well,
I got a feeling, and, it's just a feeling now, but it's a feeling that if it is right, all Eagles fans are going to be happy. I have a feeling that this defensive coordinator is going to bring the defense back to the Philadelphia
I
Eagles.
think
The defense
yes,
that we're used to seeing, the Buddy Ryan, the Jim Johnson type of defense, the defense
attacking.
that gets at it, attacks, and causes
Yep.
turnovers, and that type of defense. He strikes me as that type of defensive coordinator. And from what I'm hearing and the drills that I see him doing, because I watched some of the live practices,
So we
the
might. So
drills I
Dante,
see that he's
Dante.
doing, I think that he's going to bring it back.
So you're saying he might blitz? Man, I don't think
Yeah.
we know what that word. I don't think we know what that word was for the past 4 years. God forbid if Swartz would bring a blitz when it was a 3rd and 15. He's back there in sticks defense, making the quarterback feel all comfortable. So hopefully we see some blitzing and get aggressive, like what you just said. What we're all grew up and used to: Buddy Ryan and Reggie White and Clyde Simmons and Seth Joyner and all those guys, and then definitely with the late great Jim Johnson and all those great defenses that got us to 5 NFC Championship games.
Yes, that's what we used to hang our head on, was our defense. I mean, the
Yep.
the era of Donovan McNabb really brought the offense to the forefront of this team. Don't get me wrong, Randall Cunningham was great. I mean, but he was doing it damn near by himself. Because Buddy didn't give
Correct.
him much of an offensive
Nothing.
line to work with or offensive coordinator to work with. So he's damn near doing it by himself. But
Yep.
when McNabb came in, that was the first time the offense was like took precedence over the defense. And we kind of want to see that defense come back to life. That defense where we hung our hat on. We were known as if you came in and played the Eagles, you were going to get your ass smashed. We were going to
Especially at the
smack you
bat.
around. Yes. So hopefully we're getting back to that time. They said the defensive line is looking great, and now I think we finally have a secondary that can hold their own. I mean, we have two starting quality cornerbacks now. We haven't had that
Yep.
in a few years now. Um, even
Yeah,
our
we'll
even
play.
our safeties, Harris is looking good in practice, and
Yep.
the defensive line and the secondary are married. If you got a great rush and a great
Yep.
secondary, we can do amazing things in the passing game. And I think that's what's going to happen this year. So I can't wait to see it. Okay, so the third quarter is over. We're thanking our special guest host, Kevin, again for sitting in and giving us so much of your knowledge and so much of your insight. We thank you again, Kev. Kev is here with us. My co-host, one of them is in the chat room here. Another one is in the chat room also. He's the one that's talking to us with the capital letters. I always tell him, when you put the capital letters in, it's almost like you're screaming at me. Stop screaming at me through text. Just take the cap locks off and just type regularly. It has something to do with his vision. He can't see. Can't see. He cannot see if he's always got to type in the capital letters. But anyway, we're moving on to the fourth quarter. Thank you guys for joining Eagles Talk, the #1 Eagles coverage show on Facebook that's by Eagles fans for Eagles fans, just like Kev. Kev's a regular. He's not a broadcast journalist, although he knows the King's English and he's speaking perfect English. He's not a broadcast journalist, and I don't speak perfect King's English. And I'm not a broadcast journalist, so I'm a fan just like yourselves. We like to talk about our
Yeah.
favorite football team, the
That's
Philadelphia
it.
Eagles, and we do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. And I am doing the Revolution Tequila. Kev is doing the Orange Smash. You got to go get it. It's like an orange crush in a can. You got to get it. 10% alcohol. Please drink responsibly, but it'll get you where you need to go, but just not behind the wheel of a car. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Join us.
Hey,
Let me know what you're drinking out there.
do we want to talk in the fourth quarter about any who's excited you for so far in training camp?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Down the
Sure.
hatch. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are in the fourth quarter. Kev, start it off. Who's exciting you from the reports and what you've seen? Who's exciting you in this training camp so far?
I have two. I got one from the offense. I think his name is Tyree Jackson, former
Oh, yes.
Buffalo, former Buffalo quarterback that's going down that Logan Thomas route, just to be a tight end, a 6'7", 260 behemoth. That seems like he's making a catch every day in the middle of the field. So he might be a third tight end prospect. Don't know what's going to happen to Zach Ertz, so he might have an opportunity here as the season prolongs. And then the that fourth round pick, Zach Mcpherson from formerly of Penn State, transferred because Franklin wouldn't pay him play him at Penn State, went to Texas Tech, and it seems like every reporter that covers the Eagles, he's making some type of play, and it's almost making some of these guys wonder why they gave $4 million to CB Nelson. And hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's only been 6 or 7 games. Let's get him out there and see what he does in a game atmosphere. But it's nice to you said earlier, it's nice to actually finally have some depth at DB and the secondary, because we know how it's been since the Super Bowl. It's been an in and out door, and a lot of double moves and a lot of painful tight ends.
Yes, it has. Those are great choices. The Tyree Jackson, I've heard a lot of good things about him. If they keep Zach Ertz, I think the best that he's going to do is practice squad. If somehow Zach Ertz is moved before the season, he may even make the 53-man roster.
Yep.
That's a possibility. I'm hearing great things about him. Catching the ball, he's a converted quarterback. He's
Correct.
great hands, and blocking, as you would expect from a former quarterback, is probably his weakness, but it's not as bad as Ertz. They said he's doing a better job at blocking than maybe someone like Ertz is doing. So he is an eye opener. Mine it would be, I like Zach McPherson also. That was a great one too. He's turning heads there. I'm going to go with the obvious Devonta Smith and Josh
Yep.
Sweat. Josh Sweat
Oh
is
yeah.
doing great things out here, yo. He is he this may be the breakthrough season for him. He has the size, the attributes of being one of those like freaks, Javon Curse like freaks. I mean 6'4", 6'5", 250, 260,
Yep.
and he's a beast coming off the end, and he's finally like put it all together, and he's having a monster camp. He's my breakout. He's one of my breakout players of the camp is Josh Sweat. Watch him and watch his development this year. I think that he's going to be a monster,
I
and
mean, he
he's going to be
started.
among the team's leaders in sacks. That's my bold prediction right there.
Hey, to your point, Dante, he started day one of practice as the number one right end over Derek Barnett.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he may be. I mean, although our D ends get rotated so much that there really isn't like a lot of glory in saying you start because
Nope.
they get
It's who's in
rotated
there in
in
the
so
fourth
much
quarter.
it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's who's
Yep.
there at late in the game. So, um, but he's one of those guys that is going to be a big part of this rotation. Derek Barnett is also having a good training camp too, but he's not been Josh Sweat, but he's definitely not laid down and given up the fight. He is definitely battling out there, which he needs to be because this is a contract year for him, so he needs to do that. And it
Definitely.
benefits us if he does. If he does do that and have a breakout season, it benefits us as a team. But I'm hearing a lot of great things about Josh Sweat, and he showed a lot last year. So it would only be fitting that he takes the next progression, the next step up, and moves his game to this next level. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see this defense putting pressure on quarterbacks and not playing some sticks defense on 3rd and 15 when
Yep.
our D backs are back 17 yards and they need
Yards.
15 yards to get it. I can't wait to see us put the pressure on them, and that's
Or
among the many things I can't wait to see with this team this year.
or even to your point right there, it's 3rd and 15 and the six defense. You give up 10 yards. Yeah, you stopped them, but you just gave them 10 yards of field position for their punter to put us back. And instead of us starting maybe on the 30, we're starting on our own 15. So I like the attacking nature, and hopefully it's going to lead to a lot more turnovers because we've been in the way bottom of the league in turnovers for the defense, and our offense is going to need any short fields that we could possibly get.
All right, here we go. Shell is saying something stupid. Okay, let me see. Here he is. He's yelling at us again. Shell says, "Laugh out loud. I can see. I'm excited about our QB1 in all the film I have seen. He is completing all the passes and the football never hits the ground. I love his work ethic, and he seems to be a true student of the game." Okay, well, if you're seeing all the film you're seeing that he's completing all the passes, then you're seeing all the highlights. You have to see all the
Correct.
films. If you're seeing everything that you've seen in film that he has not missed a person, then you're seeing all the highlights. You need to read and see and read,
He's he's
because he's
missing some
not
of these.
completing all his passes.
He's missing some of these recaps I'm getting from the media that's there. I think one day he was 9 of 17 with two interceptions, but he has progressively got better from the one guy that, I mean, he does a great job getting out there on Instagram. I think it's Jimmy Kensky. I mean, he's progressing each day. I think today he was like 16 of 19. So, but again, it's going to be a progression. It's his second year, so we'll see what happens.
And in this game, this day and age, the game, right? You get a lot of high percentage passes by not forcing it, but taking
Yep.
what the defense gives you. So if there's nothing, and this is the problem I think Wentz had a little bit. If
Yes.
there's nothing going
Yep.
on 40 yards down the field, you've got to settle for the dump down to the running back and get the 5 or 6 yards you can get. You can't hold the ball and wait for a 50-yard pass play every time. And that's what gets your percentage up because those dump downs are higher percentage passes that you can be completing if you just take your head out the clouds and take what the defense gives you. So he has an opportunity to do that. And once you understand that, because the great ones do, Aaron Rodgers
Yep,
understands that.
without a
Mahomes
doubt.
understands that. You know what I mean? Deshaun Watson understands that. So it's not always going to be a 50-yard, 40-yard, 30-yard pass completion. Sometimes it's going to be a 5-yard, a 8-yard, a
I,
10-yard. But as
I
long as you
think
continue to move the chains, we're in good shape.
I think Tom Brady understands that too.
Oh, the best. He's the best that ever
He's the
done it. And
best.
I hate
The
that guy, but he's the best that ever
Yeah.
done it.
I mean, he made James White a career in the NFL. Just dump, dump, dump. But James White was always wide open. And Kevin Falk.
All right, let me open this conversation because this is a tease into next week's. I want you guys to come back next week because we're going to start talking about the most important Eagles for this upcoming year. Okay? Now we're talking about those Eagles that we think if they have a great year, they will be the most impactful Eagles of this season. And I want you guys to start getting your list together because we're going to do, and we've done it the past 2 years, we're going to start our top 20 countdown of the top 20 Eagles, most important Eagles of this upcoming season. And just to tease it, I will say, oh, excuse me, I will say Jalen Hurts is going to be pretty high up on the list. I'll say that. I'll say that. But you guys, the top 20 most impactful Eagles of this upcoming season, these are the Eagles who, if they have a good year, they are going to impact this team the most. So you guys get your list together, and we'll open up the conversation right now. It's a no-brainer that Jalen Hurts is going to be up there. So I'm going to take him off the board. But who's somebody that you think, Kevin, is going to be impactful Eagles? I mean, meaning that their contribution, their success this year is going to mean a lot to the success of the Eagles
Well,
this year. And you can't use Jalen Hurts. You give me yours.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take five guys, and that's that offensive line because of Malata, Samala, Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, and Lane Johnson don't block. Then we already know Jalen Hurts is already set up for failure. And it doesn't matter what Devonta Smith does. I mean, he could be wide open on the field, but if Jalen Hurts is on his back, um, the play's already over. So, and hearing what Lane and Brandon Brooks have been saying and Kelsey, I think they have a lot to prove, especially Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson, because people have already written them off. And we know when they're 100%, they're the best right guard and the best right tackle in football.
That was an excellent choice right there. I told you to take one player, but you grouped them all together. The offensive line. Um, I can't disagree. I'm gonna
And
piggyback
wait
off that because you're
and
right.
wait till the kid and Salamalo better watch himself because they're going to probably PUP Dickerson and let that kid get a little healthy. And about week 7 or 8, Dickerson, they didn't draft him in the second round. They said they'll put him at left guard if he's ready to play. He's just not ready to play right now with that knee. But everything you hear about him, he's pro ready and he played at Alabama. And I'll take my chances with anybody that has played at Alabama.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. That Landon Dickerson. I mean, we all have our doubts, not doubts, but
Oh, I
apprehension
didn't like the
because he had
pick.
he had the injury history. But
Yep.
you see when he's healthy, this guy and I talked about Mylata, but this guy really gives you a lot of Runyon type of vibe coming from him. And I love Runyon, as you can tell. I love Runyon when he was here. And if he can live up to that bill right there, we got a hell of a player coming down the line on the offensive line. But I agree with you as far as the offensive line being very important in the success of this year's team. And that's the sole reason why I think we're going to get improved quarterback play just because our offensive line is healthier than it was last year. Jalen Hurts can't do any worse than Carson Wentz because he's going to be playing behind a more healthier offensive line. That alone should give us better quarterback play. I think a big part of Carson Wentz's regression was because his offensive line was it was
It was in
dissipating
and
with the
out.
injuries last year. Yeah, it was
I mean,
nobody in front of him. I mean, when
I mean,
you drop
just
back, you're in trouble if you're a quarterback and you drop back and your first read, after your first read, you're looking at the rush. If
I mean,
that's
just look
your
at
progression, then you're in trouble. And that was Carson Wentz's progression last year. It was the first read and then the rush. You can't be worried about the rush if you're going to be successful, and he had to worry about the rush every time.
I mean, look at the first game last year. I mean, Jason Peters plays left tackle. We just moved him from left guard, and then his right guard was Herbig, and his right tackle was Driscoll. Both making their first starts in the NFL. It's the
Right.
Washington D line. So, yeah, I think that's the most important part. And then on defense, I mean, it comes down to that defensive line.
All right, so let me go to some comments. We're about to get out of here. Thanks a lot, you guys. Quavo says, think we have enough speed to run a primary zone defense, though. I don't know if it's going to be primary, but I know that this guy's philosophy, if coming from where the coordinators that he has coached under, he's going to play a lot of zone. But that's okay. I think we have the personnel that's going to carry out his philosophy just fine. If we go by anything that we've seen in training camp, I think those guys are going to be able to do what Jonathan Gannon wants them to do, and we're going to be successful. Jeremiah says Miles Sanders is going to be a most important player coming up. I agree with that. Quavo says Hurts most definitely, yeah. Lethon says Lane Johnson, yes. Quavo also agrees with your pick of the offensive line, yeah. And Andrew McGuire, whoever is your third wide receiver is who I'm picking. Whoever the third wide receiver is going to be most important in there. Yo, guys, we thank you guys so much for joining us, man. I thank our special guest host, Kevin, for joining and saving the program tonight because I had nobody. None of my co-host said they might be there, they might not be there, and I said, look, we got to go on. The show must go on. I'm going to go get our super sub, Kevin, and I'm going to tap him in. And I tapped Kevin, and he said, yeah, I can do it. So, Kev, we thank you so much for stepping in there, and you've given us a lot of insight, a lot of great analysis. And we thank you again, man. Friend to the show, Kevin.
Yeah,
thank you again for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, so we're gonna see you guys next Thursday, same bat channel, same bat time, 7:00, and we'll continue to talk about the unfoldings of our Philadelphia Eagles and what's going on in training camp. And I'm as training camp goes on, let me say this: I'm getting more and more confident. I'm about to take $200 down and put it on the over on the season before the season starts. I think the under over is 6.5. I'm going to put 500 on the over. I think we're going over 6.5. I just feel more confident every day that training camp goes on. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Kev, for stepping in for my co-host. And we will see you guys next week, same bat channel, same bat time, 7:00. Eagles Talk. I'm your man, Dante, the Dark Knight. And for Kev, we're out. We'll see you next week. Peace.